Hello, this is Megan, and you are now listening to the smooth sounds of Hood Astrology Radio. Nah, I'm just fucking with y'all. I like the elevator music in the background, so I'm gonna keep it going, okay? Because it relaxes me. All right. So if you are a returning subscriber, what's up? How you doing? How you been? And if this is your first time on my channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button on your way in, because you know you want to. And today I'm coming at y'all with another celebrity birth chart reading, this time on the radio host Angie Martinez. So she was in the news recently due to experiencing a very severe car accident last weekend, okay? And it got me to thinking, number one, because Mercury is currently retrograde, and specifically in the sign of Scorpio, this could absolutely bring about fatal or near fatal car crashes. However, something told me to look at her birth chart. So once I pulled it up, I was like, oh shit, you know what I'm saying? This is kind of interesting. Let me talk about it. So we're going to go over some of the, configurations in her chart and even the transit, okay, that was taking place on her or on the day of the accident, so to speak. So let's go ahead and get started. So Angie Martinez was born January 9th, 1971 in Brooklyn, New York. Number one, with her being a birth number 9, this could absolutely deal with her being very prone towards accidents, okay? Especially accidents where she could obtain some type of head injury, cuts, bruises, scrapes, things like that. Now, she's a Capricorn sun, Gemini moon, and Gemini is governed by Mercury. Mercury does deal with vehicles. So with her moon in opposition to her Mercury in Sagittarius, number one, this could absolutely make her prone to car accidents, okay? And also, when you look at Mercury in Sagittarius, a lot of individuals with this configuration can be prone to accidents due to just them not paying attention, okay? Your mind being in 1,000 different places. Mercury in Sagittarius likes to focus on the big picture. So these are people who can get behind the wheel and completely gloss over details, the details that it would take in order for you to maneuver a vehicle on the road with other people. Kind of, like I said, not even really pay attention, zone out. You just worried about getting to where you need to go. And in opposition to her moon in Gemini, yeah, she could absolutely be accident prone behind the wheel. Her Mercury is also squaring her Pluto, which is at the 29th degree of Virgo. That number 29 is also known as the energetic degree, okay? And it can produce upheavals. It can produce crises and high pressure, high intensity situations, particularly involving vehicles. So you can even look at this as her being in a car crash that could even change her health forever. You know what I'm saying? Very serious accidents. Her moon is also forming a quincunx to her Mars, which is at the 21st degree of Scorpio, reinforcing this theme of like fatality, near fatal accidents. Her Mars is conjoined to her Jupiter at the 29th degree of Scorpio, that number 29 again, which could absolutely bring about accidents. But you can even also look at that as it putting her in situations where she's very much prone to head injuries. So reinforcing that number 9 energy with her being born on the 9th. And a lot of individuals with their Jupiter in Scorpio encounter at least one near-death experience in their lifetime. So this, especially with her Jupiter and Mars squaring her nodes. Okay, she's a Leo South node, Aquarius North node. So her Mars and Jupiter and Scorpio squaring her nodes, you can even look at that as her being involved in a near fatal car crash that left her back extremely injured. You know what I'm saying? Which is very interesting because I think they said her lumbar and vertebrae, all that is your back, right? Your lumbar, that's your back, right? I think that's your lower back. So yeah, like you can't make this shit up. That is crazy. That is so crazy. Now, her Jupiter is also conjoined to her Neptune, which is at the 2nd degree of Sagittarius, it leads me to believe that if it was her fault, it had to do with her not just paying attention just altogether, or B, her being under the influence of something. So this could be prescription drugs. Maybe she was drinking. Or C, maybe she fell asleep behind the wheel. Or this could have been, you know, what the other person in the other vehicle had going on as well. It could go either way. However, I will say that if the accident was not her fault, I could absolutely see her going to court. And I say this because her Mars is opposing her Saturn, which is at the 15th degree of Taurus. That could absolutely deal with, well, actually, that could deal with her owing money. But, you know, her Saturn is forming a quincunx to her Uranus at the 13th degree of Libra. Now, that can speak to being entangled in some type of legality dispute. So, like I said, if she is not at fault for the accident, especially with her being an Aquarius North Node, I can totally see her being someone who's like, look, I sustained these injuries, therefore I am entitled to payment. You know what I'm saying? You got to make me whole again. I deserve that. So y'all be on the lookout for that, because I would not be surprised if she got caught up in some type of legal case surrounding this incident in the future. Her Uranus is opposing her Chiron, which is at the 6th degree of Aries. So that, once again, could even further reinforce this theme of her being in accidents, especially with that number 13. That deals with sudden transformation, you know. And Uranus is all about change that's like unpredictable change, drastic change, you know, and in opposition to that Chiron and Aries, her even, like I said, sustaining head injuries, face injuries, all that jazz. Now with her Pluto in opposition to her Chiron, you could even look at this as her undergoing a lot of surgery. And once again, with Aries dealing with the head, like, I know people have talked about her back being fucked up, but I'm also wondering if she's, you know, maybe she had to get stitches or something like that to the face. You could also look at this aspect as her health not being the same, like never really being the same. Like, I don't think she's going to recover from this. And, you know, astrology aside, whenever people experience severe trauma to like their back, especially when you're older, that's one of the hardest or the most difficult parts of the body to heal. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, you can even look at that aspect as it not really being the same afterwards. Her health overall not really making a 100% recovery following this accident. So, yeah, let's get into the transits that were taking place on the night of the accident. Now, she never came out and said explicitly when the accident happened, like on this date at this time, but I kind of just used context clues. They said last weekend. So for the sake of the reading, and I mean, I feel like, especially depending on if we're gauging some of the slower moving planets, it would still kind of be the same. All right. Even with Mercury, like, you know, there's not going to be that much difference in a few days. So I just chose last Saturday, which would have been the 2nd, November 2nd, as like the placeholder for the transits. So let's get into some of the transits on the night of the accident. Now, with Jupiter in Sagittarius for the time being, depending on exactly what degree her natal moon is, this could have very well put Jupiter in opposition to her moon, which, I mean, definitely reinforces or increases that likelihood of her being involved in auto accident. The transit in Venus was conjoined to her Jupiter and her Neptune, which reinforces me feeling like sis could have dead been under the influence or something, or got sleepy in the car, like at the very least. So like I said, I don't know if it was on her end, on the other person's end. Like, somebody was doing something like they ain't had no business doing. Okay, if you needed some extra winks, then get some extra winks. If you needed, you know what I'm saying, to get an Uber, get an Uber. Now, once again, I would like to reinforce that this is speculative on my part. And the more that my channel grows, I feel the need to say this in order to protect myself. But, you know, once again, I would not be surprised if this came out in the wash later on down the line. Mercury Transiting Mercury was squaring her nodes, with Mercury being in Scorpio. So Mercury was at the 27th degree. Yeah, it was absolutely transiting her nodes, which reinforces her, or the likelihood of her being in a near fatal car accident that injured her back. Okay, or where she sustained major injuries, life-changing injuries, life-transforming injuries, transformative injuries to her back. Okay. Transiting Mercury was conjoined to her Jupiter as well. So, I think that's really what kicked off or activated the incident, you know what I'm saying? It was a matter of time. It was just a matter of time. So, that concludes my reading. I hope you guys found this to be as interesting as I did. Okay. Oh, y'all, Neptune was in opposition to her Black Moon Lilith. Okay, her Black Moon Lilith is at the 20th degree or the 20th degree of Pisces. So like, I feel like she was under the influence. I do. And it maybe it wasn't alcohol. Maybe it was, like I said, some prescription drugs. Or maybe, like I said, she was sleepy or something. The transiting ascendant, which was at the 22nd degree of Leo. Now, mind you, the time that I put in place for this particular transit was, I think, 12 a.m. Okay. Yeah, I think it was 12 a.m. So this actually would be fitting because that number 22 does deal with sudden change. And with the transiting ascendant squaring her Scorpio Mars, this could further reinforce her sustaining traumatic injury to the back. Transiting Chiron was opposing her Pluto. That's another aspect that echoes a lot of the aspects that were taking place in her birth chart. Transiting Pluto was actually forming a conjunction to her sun. So it's like, that could set you up for an experience to where you actually die. So yes, this really was going through it. And I don't know if she's been involved in any more car accidents, like I said earlier, but she might want to like lay low until like Mercury comes out of retrograde. But even then, she still has certain hookups in her birth chart. She got it bad. I wouldn't ride in the car with Angie Martinez. Put it like that. God bless her. God bless her. And even though she's boring and I think she's a horrible radio host, I would never wish any type of traumatic experience like this on anybody, like for real. So, shouts out to her, man. Y'all drop down in the comment section. Let me know what y'all thought about this reading. And if you're interested in booking your own personal birth chart reading, hit me up at astrowerld@gmail.com and we'll get you squared away on today, okay? So make sure you practice unconditional self-love so that you can love others. And until the next time, I